you see physiological anatomy of GIT, the wall of GIT from posterior pharynx to anus in general consists of three layers of three layers of smooth muscle, two longitudinal and one circular. And histologically, four layers are identified, and they are mucosa, which consists of surface epithelium. Inner to that, there is a connective tissue layer called lamina propria containing glands, blood vessels, nerve fibers, lymphatics. External to lamina propria, there is a muscularis mucosa, a very thin layer of smooth muscle. Then submucosa, that is luminal surface of submucosa, is highly folded to increase the total surface area available for digestion and absorption. The submucosa contains mucinous plexus, also called as submucous plexuses, between the submucosa and middle circular layer. Muscle coat, that is muscularis externa, there are two layers of muscle in this, inner circular and outer longitudinal. In between the two layers, orbax plexus or myenteric plexus is present. The contraction and relaxation of smooth muscle enables peristalsis. And serosa is the outermost layer of GI tract. These are the different layers of the GI tract: the submucosa, the mucosa, submucous muscle. Then we have submucous misera plexus and nerve plexuses, then circular muscle layer, and in between the longitudinal and circular we have myenteric plexuses, or also called as orbax plexuses, and outermost layer is called as serosa. Nerve supply to the GIT. There are two types of innervation. They are enteric, or also called as intrinsic, and extrinsic nerve supply. Extrinsic innervation. This consists of parasympathetic and sympathetic, which are components of autonomic nervous system. Parasympathetic fibers are through the vagus, that is through the cranial outflow. The neurotransmitters produced or secreted is acetylcholine. Fibers also originate from sacrum, that is also called as sacral outflow. Stimulations increases the activity of intestinal smooth muscle and increases the motility. It also inhibits sphincter. They causes the relaxation of sphincters. Sympathetic fibers arise from Ta2L2. Neurotransmitter is norepinephrine, and they decreases motility and secretion. Enteric nervous system. It consists of orbax or myenteric plexus and the submucosal or mucinous plexuses. These two plexuses are interconnected. It innervates the glandular epithelium, intestinal endocrine cells, and submucosal blood vessels. It is involved in control of intestinal secretion. Neurotransmitter in the system include acetylcholine, the amines norepinephrine and serotonin, the amino acid glutamate, aspartate, D-serine, and aminobutyric acid, that is GABA, the purine ATP, and the gases nitric oxide and carbon monoxide are mainly peptides like enkephalins, gastrin releasing peptide, gelatin, neuropeptide Y, neurotensin, substance P, vasoactive intestinal peptide, that is somatostatin, and somatostatin. So these are the neurotransmitter involved in the enteric nervous system. The system consists of about 100 million sensory neurons. Though enteric system is controlled by extrinsic nervous system, it can function autonomously. Sensory nerve fiber elicit local reflexes within the gut or other reflexes. They send afferents to both enteric nervous system, that is mesenteric and orbax plexus, and prevertebral ganglia of sympathetic nervous system and the spinal cord. The different type of loop reflexes can be short loop reflex or long loop reflex. The long loop reflex, they mainly involve the center in the central nervous system, that is in the brain, whereas short loop reflexes, their center is usually in the gut wall, that is the enteric nervous system. So this is diagram showing the different layers, that is epithelium, muscularis, mucosa, submucosal plexuses, that is mucinous plexuses, which uh, mainly help in the glandular secretion, whereas the myenteric plexuses, which are present between the two layers of muscle fibers, stimulation of which is going to increase the contraction and peristalsis. Usually they are supplied by sympathetic and parasympathetic. Sympathetic, it increases the secretion from uh, the the submucosal plexuses, and it is going to inhibit the muscular contraction, whereas parasympathetic usually increases the secretion and it is going to improve the peristaltic activity. And they can have a short loop where the sensation goes to the local plexus, and depending on the local stimulus, the activity of the gut is controlled, whereas some fibers, they carry information to the central